One of her advocacy, helping bold leaders break the rules that no longer serve them. A keynote speaker, no other than Miss Kim Bolourtchi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
My apology if did not pronounce your last name correct.
You did a
Miss
really good
Kim,
job. It's a tough one.
thank you so much, and welcome on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Absolutely. So I'm a lawyer by trade. That was my education in my early career, and I spent a lot of time in the early days trying to play by the rules. And I did everything everyone told me to do to try to be really, really successful. And somewhere along my journey, I realized that I was splitting myself into parts and not feeling very good about any of them in trying to be all the things people asked me to be. And so I started really strategically breaking the rules. I decided I didn't really want to practice law anymore. I wanted to do consulting work. I wanted to help people show up whole at work and feel really, really good about their gifts and talents. And I started just living really, really differently than the way my life started. And so the work that I do now is really informed by all of that. I love helping leaders and teams show up in the biggest way possible, and I really do love breaking rules in strategic ways.
So, in your own word, how do I pronounce your last name, Miss Kim?
Bolourtchi.
Bolourtchi, Miss Kim Bolourtchi. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about your advocacy. Tell us, what do you think so many people feel trapped by rules, whether in business, creativity, or life itself?
I think we start being told who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be, and what makes us lovable from a really, really young age. I think that the rules start getting into our psyche and into our lives before we're even aware of it. We learn what we have to do in order to gain approval, to get people to tell us that we're doing a good job, to get, the smile or the pat on the back. And so I think people start to understand from a very young age what it takes to be accepted and to be liked and to do well. And when they see that, they want to do more of it. And so, a lot of times when we're told this is what you need to do to be successful or to be loved or to be liked, we don't question whether those rules or those beliefs or those ideas are actually going to be helpful to us. We just kind of blindly follow them.
What does strategic unruliness mean to you, and how did the concept first come about?
So I put the word strategic in front of unruly on purpose because when I first started talking about being unruly, unruly means breaking the rules, people kind of freaked out. They were like, what do you mean, be unruly? Breaking the rules means throwing everything away. And I want to be clear that this isn't rebellion. What I talk about isn't throwing everything away or burning everything down just for the sake of it. It's actually being really thoughtful about how you're going to do it. And so, if there's a rule, for example, that works for you, or a belief that works for you, and it's helping you move forward in your life, you're not just going to break it for the sake of breaking it. We're really looking at the things that are holding us back and being very thoughtful and strategic about how and when we're breaking them. And so strategic unruliness is really a process by which we evaluate our beliefs and kind of the things we're living by. And then we decide, do I really want to keep doing that or not? Is it helping me or is it not?
How do we tell the difference between a rule that protects us and one that holds us back?
That's a really good question. So I will say, when I talk about strategic unruliness, I'm not talking about basic safety things. So I'm not talking about seatbelts or stoplights or laws that help keep us safe as a society, right? Like I'm not talking about those kinds of things. What I'm talking about are the rules or ideas that make you play small. So for example, let's say there's something you really, really wanted to do, and you had this dream that you wanted to pursue something, but you had been told over and over that it really wasn't available to you, that that wasn't something that you could do without a certain kind of training, or that you just weren't the kind of person who got to do those things, that that was meant for other people, or that maybe you weren't smart enough or talented enough. We get messages about what we're capable of all the time. Those would be rules I would say are worth challenging, because other people don't know what you're capable of, right? That would be their own limits. And so if you feel like you want to do something and you have ideas or beliefs, or someone's telling you you can't do it, there's a rule in there that probably needs to be challenged.
Miss Kim, tell us your upcoming book this coming October.
So my book, called Strategic Unruliness, is coming October 21st. And I'm really excited about this book. It is for people who have this feeling, and a lot of us I think have it, where you're living life and you're kind of checking the boxes. You're doing all the things you've been told you should do, that are going to lead to success, that are going to lead to a happy life, and you're going along and you're doing those things, but you have this nagging feeling inside that there's more, or wonder, is this really it? Is there more for me? And you kind of think that there is. And at the same time, you feel sort of guilty because you have actually achieved some things and you're doing well, and you've got some things that are going for you. And so you feel kind of bad that you do want more, right? Maybe you're not grateful enough for everything that you have. And so it's really written for people who know on some deep level that there is potentially more for them, and they're just held back and they don't even know what it is or how to access it. But this is the book that unlocks everything.
Well, good luck to that, Miss Kim. And please do come over again and let's talk about On Book 101 review. So, can you share a personal moment when breaking a rule opened a new door for you?
Absolutely. So there was a moment many years ago when I was a young lawyer, and I was practicing law, and I was arguing before the Missouri Supreme Court for the first time, and it was a really big moment in my career. And what most people knew about me was that I was very driven, very successful, very, smart, and I would go in just very buttoned up, very polished, ready to always fight for my clients. And that's kind of the persona that I projected. What they didn't know about me is that I was secretly a professional Latin dancer on the side. And I would compete every weekend, in different cities throughout the country. And that was my passion, but I didn't ever want anyone to know, because I didn't think I would be taken seriously or treated professionally, if people knew that I actually danced. And so I'm arguing before the Missouri Supreme Court, and I get up to make my argument. And my law partner, who was also my husband, got up to introduce me. And he tells the justices, Your Honors, Kim is not only a really great lawyer, she's also this amazing Latin dancer. And he tells them my secret. And I think to myself, my career is over. My life is over. This is horrible. So I get through the argument somehow. And when it's over, I run to the bathroom, and I'm standing there holding onto the mirror, or holding onto the sink, like looking at myself in the mirror, thinking, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened. And one of the justices walks in, and she sees me in there, and she's like, oh my God, you're in here. Tell me everything about your dancing. It is the coolest thing that you're a lawyer and you are also this amazing dancer. I've always wanted more in my life. And in that moment, I realized that I'd spent all this time thinking I couldn't have both of these things in one space, that the rules said, this is what professional looks like, and this is what successful looks like. And I thought it only meant one thing, and I realized it didn't at all. And that was sort of the beginning of me challenging the rules, because obviously I had been living in a way that I didn't really need to, and I'd spent a lot of energy.
Truly, truly empowering story, Miss Kim. Let's talk about the mindset shift. What mindset shift are necessary to embrace unruliness without falling into chaos?
Well, I think the first thing, and this is where I start with everybody, is what I call radical clarity. So getting really clear about what you really want before you decide that you're going to start breaking rules is super important, right? Because if we just start breaking rules, and sometimes, look, it can be fun. When I was a teenager, I broke all kinds of rules just because it was fun. But if we're really going to be strategic about it, we have to know what it is we want, and then we are able to, with that clarity of, actually, this is what I want. I might not believe it's possible for me right now, but if I'm being honest, this is what I want. Then we can look at the rules that are holding us back and challenge them. And when we challenge them, we do sort of a 3-part inquiry. We look at whether the rule was even made for us. A lot of times when rules are made, they're made for the person who created them, right? Like, if you've ever played a game with a little kid, they'll change the rules so that they win. That's true of a lot of the rules we live by. It's not malicious. They're just not made to help us. They're made to help somebody else. And so when we notice that, we can challenge it. The second is it made for this moment? Does the rule even apply to what's going on in my life right now? Or is it some antiquated old rule that was made, a long time ago that doesn't really have any relevance now? And then the most important one that you ask is it helping me thrive? Like, is it actually helping me, or is it hurting me? And if the answer to any of those is no, it's a really good indication that might not be a rule you want to follow anymore. So it's really systematic in the way that you walk through it. Now, is it easy? Not at all, because a lot of it is so
Hard.
countercultural.
So, Miss Kim, how do fear and self-doubt play into people's resistance to breaking rules?
It's huge because it's huge because one of the biggest things we have is that we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to fail. We don't want to do anything that's going to, subject us to other people's judgment. And the reality is, a lot of the rules that are put in place, the same ones we need to challenge, seem to potentially keep us safe from those things, right? It's like, if I
Yes.
don't rock the boat, nobody can judge me. If I don't do anything risky, then I can't fail. The problem is, you can't really live the biggest life that you are meant to live. You can't do big things if you don't ever step out of your comfort zone. And so fear is one of those things you have to just look it in the face and be like, yep, this is scary, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Why do you think society often rewards conformity even when innovations requires rebellion?
Well, I think that I think it's easier to kind of predict what people are going to do when people conform because they do what's expected. And we really like, as humans, we like when things are predictable, right? Like, think about a time where you didn't really know what was going to happen, or you didn't know what someone was going to do. It makes us a little bit nervous, right? When we're like, I don't really know
Yes.
what that person's going to do. I don't know what they're about. Whereas if we can be pretty sure that they're going to follow the rules, or they're going to act a certain way or behave a certain way, we have a level of comfort within ourselves. And so I think we like when people follow the rules because we have a level of certainty about what's going to happen. Does it mean we're going to get innovation and cool things, and are we going to work together in really amazing ways? Absolutely not. We're going to get none of it. But it does make people have the illusion of being safe.
Miss Kim, what role does courage play in the process of challenging the status quo?
You need a lot of it. um,
100% a lot.
Look, this is the thing. What I talk about and what I encourage people to do is, it's hard. And I'm really honest about that, right? And there are a lot of people who will listen to this and they'll say, gosh, that all sounds really good, Kim. That's cool. It's a really cool concept, but it's like, you're asking a lot. It's a lot. Um, and they're not wrong. But the thing is that I always think of it this way. At the end of my life, am I going to be sorry about what I didn't do, right? What I didn't have the courage to do? Am I going to be sorry about the things that I just sat there and sat back on because I was too scared to try them? Or am I going to be sorry that I tried and it didn't work out. And then I tried again and it didn't work out. And I know for me, the answer is untapped potential is the most deadly thing I am afraid of. I don't want to leave potential on the table, right? Like and so that gives me courage when I don't feel like I necessarily have it. And the other thing is we spend so much time avoiding failure or avoiding things that we're potentially scared of. The idea of being scared of them is so much worse than just doing the thing. Like I have failed so many times. And I can tell you, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. It totally sucks. It sucks. Nobody
Sucks,
wants to
yes.
fail. But when you do, you realize what you're made of and what you're capable of. And then you can get up and do it again and move forward. And that is genuinely what it takes to do the things you're meant to.
So, Miss Kim, as a keynote speaker and author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
I think, there's the same, honestly. I love my work and I love helping as many people as possible break the rules in a strategic way. Nothing bothers me more than seeing people who I know have so much talent and so much potential who are holding back or feeling confined or restricted by rules they didn't choose or agree to. And so it gives me so much joy to just be like, hey, here's another way. And so it's why I do what I do, and I genuinely really enjoy it. So, my goal is to spread this message and to support as many people as I can in making this shift. Because the thing is, on an individual level, it can change your life, but in businesses, it changes an entire culture. It changes the way people feel at work when they're able to show up with their gifts and talents and be as big as they really are and not have to hide. And it increases the bottom line of the business when everybody is kind of operating in this place of real, you know, heightened genius. And so it's very rewarding, the work that I get to do.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Kim, and looking forward for more success. And what would be
Thank
your
you.
piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Well, this is what I would say. I would say that every single person is unique. Every single person has gifts and talents that are unique to you. And so, we spend a lot of time looking at other people and thinking, oh, I wish I could be more like that person, or I wish I had more of what they have. But no one has what you have. No one. There are no two people exactly alike on the planet, and we've got 9 billion people. So, I would say embrace what makes you you. The more you can be yourself and the more you can trust that you really have something the world needs, like we need it, and show up that way, you will find that everything gets easier. Your work is easier, your joy is easier. It's when we spend time trying to be something that we're not that we find ourselves burned out and tired and exhausted and kind of playing in a paradigm that doesn't fit. And so I would say be more of you. That's my advice.
Thank you for that advice, Miss Kim. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
hmm Um, One of my very favorite books is called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Now, it's not The Art of War. That's totally different. This is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And someone recommended it to me at a time when I was really struggling. I was having a lot of trouble creating, and I was just feeling discouraged. Like I just felt like I kept hitting obstacles. And it was like I knew I had this big thing I wanted to do. I knew my work had value, but I literally felt like I was hitting my head on a brick wall. I just kept hitting these points where it wasn't moving. And what he talks about is sort of the creative process. And even though he talks about it in terms of writing, he's a writer, it can apply to anything. And the idea of resistance, right? It's like when you're about to do something really, really big, it always gets challenging right before something amazing happens. And most people give up in that part where it gets really, really hard. It's like people will go so far and they'll pursue their dreams, and then it gets really, really tough, like almost unbearable. And that's the point where people go, oh my gosh, you know what? I can't do this. I'm going to go back to the way it was. The way it was better. Not so exciting, but at least it was safe. And he talks about this idea that if you can just push through that resistance, because that's exactly what it is, everything you want is on the other side. And I have seen this to be true in my own life time and time again. So I love this book. There's just so much good wisdom in it.
Thank you for that recommended book, Miss Kim. And what impact have you seen this mindset have you on team leaders or organizations?
You know, whenever someone stops shrinking in a room, and they take up space, and they really kind of show up with their gifts and talents and all that they are, they give permission to other people to do the same thing. And what I have seen in for years of being in leadership work is that we're really good at talking. A lot of people will talk about, this is what a good leader does. This is how we should do things. And they say the right things. They put the right things on their website, right? They've got all the right words on the wall. But when the leader shows up with this idea of, I really genuinely am curious about what everyone around me has to offer, and I really want to unlock the capacity of my team, right? Understanding that people are going to have different gifts and talents that I don't have, and inviting that genuinely into the space, what I see is people get really excited to work. They understand that what they do matters, and they understand why it matters. They work so much better together because everybody's got a sort of a different piece and a different angle. And the results are exponentially bigger, better, and more lucrative than they've ever been before. And this is true of every single organization I have ever worked in, right? People are like, oh, this is going to be so much hard work. A consultant is coming in, the big word people freak out. And what they end up saying is, oh my God, that was amazing and so fun. And now we're excited. And it infuses energy in a way that you can't duplicate in any other way. And so it's really, really amazing. And it's also really unconventional. And so it takes a really brave, forward-thinking leader to say, you know what, the old ways of doing things are no longer working. We're really going to do it differently and mean it.
Hmm, definitely. And Miss Kim, how does strategic unruliness empower individuals to rewrite their own narratives?
It really gives people a chance to, I think, get really honest about what they want, right? To be able to see what's in the way. I think a lot of times people know sort of they want something different, but they don't know what it is. They don't know what's in the way. And it's just sort of this feeling of like, ugh, this isn't right, or I want something else, but I don't know. And they stop. This gives them the ability to see really clearly what they want, what's in the way, and the path to unlocking that. And so it's really their choice. It gives them so much power over their own journey. And the best part is they own it, right? There's no judgment. Nobody's going to sit there and say, well, now that you've seen it, you have to do something about it. They get to decide, right? They can see it and they can be like, oh, okay, this is really what I want. This is really what's in my way, but I actually don't want it as much as I thought I did. I'm okay over here. But they're choosing it as opposed to feeling like life is happening to them. Or they can see it, they can see what's in their way, they can do the work to get it out of their way, and they can achieve and live in a way they never thought was possible. Like, that's what I see is people suddenly are like, oh my God, I never thought this was possible for me. And everything is possible for you. If it wasn't meant for you, you wouldn't want it. And that's the truth.
But nothing but the truth. So, Miss Kim, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in its fourth season, and my BB podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Kim, finally, what do you hope people remember most about embracing strategic unruliness in their personal or professional journeys?
I hope that people remember that it's possible, that just because somebody else has told you there's a way to do things doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Just because someone has told you there's a path that you need to walk down to get where you want to go doesn't mean it's necessarily true. You are the person who knows what you're capable of more than anybody else. And there are literally a million ways to get to everywhere. And so, if you want more, if you're feeling a call toward more, if you feel like there could be something more, it's worth exploring. And, in my upcoming book, I really walk through the framework of how to get there. And I just encourage you to dig into and listen to that part of you that says, I do want more for my life, because you get one and it's precious.
It's precious indeed. Miss Kim Bolourtchi. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And looking forward for that book. Please do come over either my abstract essay or on Book 101 review. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, your projects, or your coming book?
Absolutely. So the best way to get in touch with me is kimbolourtchi.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn, Kim Bolourtchi, or on Instagram, Kim Bolourtchi.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Kim Bolourtchi, because if you support her, for sure, more and more advocacy to come, more and more empowering books to come, and for sure, more and more empowering speaking to come. And so, Miss Kim, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
More to come, people. See you soon.